Here is mugshot we are doing with your mask.
Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're putting the skirt together that we're making earlier. This is the second part of the video. This is a band for the skirt I cut in the previous video. I'm going to reduce the length or the width of this band because I figured out that I didn't have the size of elastic that will fit, but we'll get to that later. So these are the two pieces, the front and back of the skirt. I'm going to go ahead and cut the front of the skirt into two pieces to separate the button allowance area that I had cut out earlier with my measurement. This button part is optional. You can put buttons. This is just me trying to get creative with the skirt. Now I'm cutting this into two pieces. I'm going to go ahead and iron it on iron the button allowance towards either side of the skirt. That's the left part of the front of the skirt and the right part of the front of the skirt. I'm just ironing the back so I can have like this center line so I can know where the midpoint is, and also to mark out and separate my button allowance from the rest of the skirt. I'm going to go ahead and iron the button allowance area towards either side of the front of the skirt. So make sure that you're folding the button allowance towards the wrong side of the skirt so that it doesn't look funny when you're done. So that button allowance area, I'm also going to fold it again by another 1/2 inch before I sew it down. So I'm going to fold it by another 1/2 inch again and then iron it. I prefer to iron before I sew because it just makes my work easier while I'm on the sewing machine. I'm doing this for both parts of the skirt and also going to go ahead and sew it down now so that it can stay in place for my buttons. Now I've sewn both sides down. I'm going to just lay them flat on the table and kind of lay one side of the button allowance over the other side. That way it just looks like how it's going to look by the time I put the buttons on top. I'm going to lay it this way and then use my pins to hold it down while I sew the rest of the skirt. When I'm done with the rest of the skirt, then I'll come back and fix the buttons and buttonholes. I have a video on buttons and buttonholes on my channel, so you can check that out. It'll be linked in the description box. Now I'm laying the back of the skirt on top and pinning the sides down. So as you can see, that waist part is like wider, so I'm just going to bend it towards the top of the skirt like so and pin it down. If there's any excess at the top of your skirt, just cut it off. There's a chance that you might have like excess at the top of the skirt, so you might just grab your scissors and cut it off so that everything is kind of uniform. So I had a little on that side of the skirt, and that's why I cut that place off. I'm going to sew down the sides now. Now I'll prefer that you sew down the band for the front, like you attach the front band to the front of the skirt and the back band to the back of the skirt before you sew down the sides. It kind of makes your work easier, but I do it this way, so you can also do it this way. I sew down the side of my skirt first before I attach the band to it. So that's the elastic I'll be using. I went on to iron my interfacing on one side of the band for both the back and the front. My elastic, I figured out that it was too tiny, so I decided to cut my band, reduce the width of my band so that I could fit the elastic better. So if you have like the right size of elastic, you don't have to bother about this step. This is very much optional. Now that I'm done with this part, I'm going to go ahead and attach my band. to the skirt. So for the front of the band, for the front of the skirt, I'm attaching the shorter band, and for the back, I'm attaching the other band. Just go ahead and sew it down like that. Use my pins to hold it down first. If you can sew without pins, that's okay. But for me, I prefer to like pin things down before I start sewing. I mean, once in a while you can freestyle and wing it, but most times it's just preferable to pin things down, especially if you're a beginner. So I'm finding the midpoint for the back of the skirt so I can attach it and align it properly with the band. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it down completely before I take it to the sewing machine and sew the entire waistband. So you can attach interfacing or iron interfacing on both on like the entire band. That's like both front and back of the band. But I just prefer to do it on one side. It's really optional. It depends on the thickness of your fabric as well. So now once I attach the band, I'll go ahead and join the sides of the band to in the front and in the back. You see what I'm saying in a few seconds. So this is what it looks like when you attach it. Make sure when you're attaching the wrong side, or rather the right side of your band is facing the right side of the skirt. I'm sewing this down with my regular straight stitch. Now I'm done joining the band, or partially joining the band to the skirt. I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like. I'm going to join the sides of the band together by connecting it to the side of the skirt like that. I do it on the other side as well. Same thing. So I believe by now you kind of understand why I would have preferred that you attach the band first before you join the sides together. But either ways, you can still work around it. I'm going to attach my elastic band now. I'm going to cut the amount that I need. That's pretty much half of the waist of the skirt. So the waist of the skirt was like 31, I think, or 30. So I cut 15 inches. And that elastic is going to be on the back of the skirt because that's the part where we had like the wider waist measurement. I'm going to join one end of the elastic band to one side of the skirt. I'll make sure that I align it with the seam that joins the front and back of the skirt together. I'll do the same thing on the other side. So when I covered the band, this was going to look like. So go ahead and pull the elastic the other side and attach it to the other side of the skirt the same way you did on the first side. Make sure you align the seam that you create with the one that's already there. Just makes your work neater. So let me go ahead and do that and come back and show you. So this is what it looks like. Just like that. And if I cover it up, you see the line pretty much aligns with the front. So that's what I'm talking about. The seam is just in between the bands. And I'm going to cover the elastic band. I'm going to sew along the seam that joins the band of the skirt to the rest of the skirt. I'll show you what I'm I'll show you what I'm saying. on the sewing machine. Wow, racing brain syndrome today. Now I'm just going to cover this and pull the elastic as I'm covering it. When I'm sewing on the sewing machine as well, I'm going to be pulling the elastic so that I can sew the entire waistband. So this method is pretty much for the days you do not have zip, or if you're a beginner and you do not know how to use a zip yet. This is kind of like an easy way to get your skirt done, especially for pencil skirts. I'm going to sew along the waistband neatly, just like that. I'm sewing my regular stitch, my regular straight stitch. This is what I mean by pulling the elastic as I'm sewing. That way, it kind of helps you to do a straight line, and you also look neat when you do that. So don't forget to back stitch when you're done stitching so that your stitches don't come undone or your seam won't come undone. I also went on to finish the bottom part of the skirt, so the hem of the skirt. You can do any kind of finishing you want, but for me it was just regular stitching. So this is what it looks like inside. And when you turn it out, this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and put my buttons and button holes right there. You can just attach buttons, but I prefer to put buttons and buttonholes, so that's what I did. And that way you can take out some buttons and make it look like it has some form of slit. So here is the big reveal.
I didn't even know
Do
this
you
was
like it?
this long.
You think I'm very tough? That's good.
Turn back. Turn back. You say you think I'm very tall. What is it?
I must think I'm tall now. For you to think that